All right, what is going on, everybody? What is going on? Thank you very much for tuning in. Appreciate you guys being a part of the post game show. 118-89, the final score. Lakers lose to the Milwaukee Bucks. They play nobody, literally nobody. Nobody plays for the Lakers, and final score tonight, 118-89. We got a lot to get into. Definitely a lot to get into in regards to this game. I got some thoughts. Kind of got some thoughts of this Lakers strategy tonight without playing anybody. Obviously, it will hurt them in the standings. They fall back to the number 4 spot. We'll get into all that. Still in front of Memphis. Still in front of course, the Golden State Warriors, the Clippers. But Denver jumps in front of them. We'll get a chance to hear from J.J. Redick. Get a chance to hear from a couple of the players. Won't be a very long post-game show. Let's just put it that way. Not exactly the most exciting game to watch. If you watch that game tonight and then you figured you were going to hang out with me in the post-game show, my Lord, you're a very, very loyal, dedicated Los Angeles Lakers fan. So I'm going to give you a lot of credit for that. If I didn't have to work today, I would have stopped watching this game an hour and a half ago. Not exactly the most exciting game. So we got a lot to get into. We'll get into it here. As soon as they go to J.J. Redick, we're going to go to it. And we'll go from there. Yeah, shout out to anybody that's here. Shout out to anybody that's literally sitting here and even has the strength to put a comment on here. Because if I got on today and there were only 3 people here, I would have been completely understanding of that. If I looked tomorrow and the amount of views, there were 9 views total, I would have completely understood. I would have took it. No, I wouldn't have taken it personal at all. Lakers obviously didn't play anybody today. Can I ask everybody a quick question here? Let me kind of do this, and I'll get kind of your thoughts here, those who are here. Nobody played. And I'm listening to Spectrum right now, and Bresnahan and James Worthy and Dieter, Chris McGee, they were all talking about the 6 games in 8 nights. And look, the Lakers had to play an extra game. One of those games was against the San Antonio Spurs, which kind of clogged the schedule. They got so many back-to-backs that they've had here. They're filling in so many games. I get the strategy. I understand why J.J. Redick did this. Here's who didn't play, and then here's who was available tonight. And I want to make this a topic, and I want to ask people what they think about what the strategy was tonight. Here's who didn't play. Dorian Finney-Smith, Jared Vanderbilt, Luka Doncic, Rui Hachimura, LeBron James, Austin Reeves. It's literally their 6 best players. Right? Maybe you could say, hey, Jackson Hayes some night, Gabe Vincent every once in a while, whatever you want to say. I think those are their 6 best players. So they didn't play all 6 of them. And I understand why they didn't play them against Milwaukee. But I kind of want to challenge the theory here a little bit. I was surprised that they did this. And let me tell you why I was surprised. I thought last night they handled Denver the way they did. No Jamal Murray, no Nikola Jokic. I know they got these stretch of games coming, but they also got a day off coming tomorrow before they play a Chicago team that they should absolutely demolish and then hopefully get a little bit of rest in that 4th quarter. They get Sunday off as well, and then they go on that 4-game road trip starting on Monday, maybe in Orlando, I think is the first game. Because of how tight the standings are and because how key and important all these games are, I was a little bit surprised. Damian Lillard didn't play for the Milwaukee Bucks. I was a little bit surprised. This was a very, very winnable game if they were healthy. I was a little bit surprised that they didn't say, no, let's go with the same exact lineup that we had yesterday. I mean, obviously, listen, if somebody's injured, somebody's injured. I'm not questioning that at all. And I get the strategy of, well, maybe we could rest our guys just a little bit more. So if you rest them the second of a back-to-back, they get Thursday off, they get Friday off, they play on Saturday, they get Sunday off. So now out of 3 out of 4 days, they get to rest, and then you go on that road trip. So I completely understand that. But my only hesitation for doing that in tonight's game, I thought tonight's game was going to be winnable. I thought if you came back with the same exact lineup that you had yesterday against Denver, and you brought that lineup in tonight, I thought you could have walked away with a win against Milwaukee, especially because Dame also didn't play. Damian Lillard didn't play. I think I had mentioned this yesterday. I was a little hyped up about this game because I thought, all right, you got Denver. You kind of got a free pass there. Go take care of business against Milwaukee. Now, all of a sudden, by the time Bron comes back, and I got a quick update on that one that we'll get to here in just a second, then maybe you come back on Saturday, potentially. And even if it wasn't Saturday, you'd come back on Monday. Maybe LeBron or Rui or LeBron and Rui are with you for that final 12, 13 games left in the season. You can get back into that kind of that mode that you were in. You can work on any kinks that you have to work on. You could try to win games because you got some tough matchups coming up. You could position yourself in the NBA standings, and then you're going to get that 5-6 days off before the playoffs start anyways, where you could start resting and start preparing for that first round matchup. So I get why they did it. I understand that I don't think anybody's had six games in 8 nights since I think they said 2011 was the last time that happened, and they really try to go away from all that. But because of the LA Fires, you rescheduled the San Antonio Spurs game. I understand why they did it. I was just kind of, I guess in my own mind, I was surprised they did it just because they got a day off coming on Friday, a day off coming up on Sunday. They got a bad team they're facing against the Chicago Bulls on Saturday. And I thought this would be a winnable game if they played everybody. Let me get your guys' thoughts on that, and then we'll start talking about the actual game. To be honest with you, I don't even know what the hell to talk about with the game. I don't know what you guys want me to talk about. Bronny had a really nice game. Well, Bronny will definitely be a subject. We'll have Bronny there. All right, let me look at some of the comments here, and then we'll go here. Mitch Potter, I get that health is a priority, and I trust JJ. But as soon as I noticed Gabe initiating instead of DK, I knew winning wasn't the goal. No idea why. Yeah, I'm a little, I was a little bit, I think from my perspective, there was definitely a little bit, I guess surprise is the best way that I could put it. I thought they were going to value this game for some of the reasons that I was talking about. And when you look at the standings, and if the goal is to be in that number 2 spot, they still got plenty of time to do so. There's some really positive news coming on LeBron and Rui. So I think that piece is going to be important. But I'm a little surprised too. I really am. I'm a little bit surprised. As soon as JJ talks, maybe we get a little bit of an explanation, but or maybe not. Maybe they're just like, yeah, we're doing this because they've played as many games as they've been playing. Mitch, thank you for the super, brother. I appreciate you. John, Slee, now that the week is over, how do you feel after watching anticlimactic games back-to-back? The NBA really needs to do something. John, this is going to be a conversation on my show tomorrow. We're going to do this tomorrow. There was I had Amin Al-Hassan on earlier today, and we were talking. I was going to play this clip about Magic Johnson on Byron Scott's podcast, and it was about load management, that he thinks that's the biggest issue with the NBA. Tomorrow, I think, is a perfect time to talk about it based on kind of what we see over these last couple of days. Let's take a quick listen. Here's JJ Redick on the Lakers' loss. Let's get his thoughts on the loss to the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah. We've obviously monitored him in the G and feel like he's, in those sort of end game situations, when he's gotten a chance to play with us, he's been really good. So not surprised by tonight. And I think his confidence is growing. You mentioned the word comfort. That's certainly there for him. And I think the next step is just becoming like an elite conditioned athlete. Because when he does that with his physical tools and just his like burst and his handle, and we think he's going to be an above average to really good NBA shooter. He's gonna have a chance to really make an impact.
Yeah. JJ, but what do you take out of those 48 minutes minus what Mike just asked you about?
I think it probably reinforced some thoughts. We've been really, really good. It's weird. We've been really good with our greens. I think we started really doing it again in the New York game in the Garden. And for some reason, and maybe it's just not having full strength and playing guys that haven't been with us all year, but for some reason we haven't been able to execute that against Giannis. Their technique has just been god awful. You know, no matter how many times we talk about it, show it, it just hasn't been there. Did it one time tonight. Cam forced a jump ball. Did it one time. Yay. So.
And if you'll entertain another Bronny question, I know how you feel generally about narrative, and like I'm sure there will be a reaction to this in some ways, probably by some of us too. But how impressed have you been with just sort of his ability to kind of keep his head down and be about the work through all sorts of stuff that traditionally would never be thrown at a second round pick?
Yeah. I saw some video interviews that he did at the Combine in May, and obviously I was not the Lakers coach, just an NBA analyst and podcaster at the time. And I texted Bron, and I was like, man, Bronny has his head on straight. Like, he gets it. And since day one, I've just been impressed with the person that he is, and to deal with, because of who his dad is, and just keep a level head about it and be a class act. Says a lot about him, says a lot about that family, and the way LeBron and Savannah have raised him. You know, it was obvious to me from the moment, you know, I started spending time with him on the court this summer. You know, he was certainly going to be an NBA player, and I still believe that he'll be an NBA player.
JJ,
I'll get one more in.
The games were rescheduled. This was obviously going to be the toughest stretch any team has gone through this season, just because you played 3 straight back-to-backs. Then you lose Rui and LeBron right before this stretch. You go 3-3, 2 of the games. You don't have 4/5 of your starting lineup. How would you just assess the past 8 days and you know, finally being on the other side of it?
You have to look at it big picture and feel good that you go 3-3 in this stretch. And it was going to be tough no matter what, with the added game, made it harder. I don't think the game that exists today in the NBA and the modern NBA player is like, I wouldn't be either if this was what I came up in and this was the game that I had to play every night. It's different than when I first started. It's just you're not built to play 6 games in 8 nights. The game doesn't allow you to play 6 games in 8 nights. It's just possible. That's why I don't think have 4 and 5 anymore. If they are, I mean, you know, I lived through the lockout year. I somehow didn't miss a game till the very end because we had secured our seed. It was a road game in Memphis. Stan gave me the option, do you want to play all 66? And normally I would be like, yeah, I want to play. But then I was like, fuck no, dude. I just played 65 games in 92 days. Like, this is impossible. And it was an easier game to play then, because there wasn't as much movement and there wasn't as much spacing and you didn't have to cover as much of the court. It's what our guys just went through. You know, it's difficult. And the old heads are going to talk about how physical it was in the 80s and 90s, and that's fine. But, you know, the level of physicality in our game and the way that the court has to be covered and all the movement, it's tough. And just glad to be on the other side of it. And hopefully, you know, going forward, we are healthy and can make a push here.
All right. Stop it right there. Kind of keep things going. So there you go. That's actually answers some of the questions. And I think there's some people that already got questions about the load management and the like John was putting here in his super. You know, I'll say this. I think this is the best way that I can describe it. I think that It literally was the conversation that we were having a little bit earlier this morning, and I'll continue the conversation tomorrow. I'll kind of make this a little bit more of a reaction, and tomorrow I'll get a little bit more into the the load management things. It's, I guess, the perception. I could sit here and be sitting on a chair and have a microphone in front of me and just say, well, why aren't they playing all their guys? I mean, they should be playing them. 6 games in 8 nights is a grueling thing. I think I'm just looking at it more from the actual schedule. I'm sorry, I'm looking at it more from the standings perspective. But I was reading some of the comments and I was starring them, and some people were sympathetic to it. Other people weren't. Austin was gassed yesterday. Glad he sat. People want to rest for the playoffs. Okay. Felt like we threw the towel in before this one even started. You can't go full throttle all the time. Omar is 17 games in 30 days. So it's kind of a little bit of both, right? Some people understand it. They get it. They say to themselves, yeah, this was the smart move for the Lakers to sit some of their main guys here. And they sat their 6 best players, or 6 of 7, or whatever you want to put it. I think there's 2 ways to look at it. I think one way is, okay, but you got a day off tomorrow, and then you got a day off. You got a game on Saturday that's not against that competitive team. Then you got another day off coming on Sunday. But they're clearly thinking big picture, and that's how a lot of teams think now. It's less about, I don't care if you bought a ticket. I don't care if you were excited about this game. I saw somebody on Instagram. Let me find this comment. First Class Dial says, glad we sold our tickets before they announced all the injuries. Can you imagine? You bought tickets to go see the Milwaukee Bucks and the Lakers. I'm going to go to see Dame. Let's say you bought them 2 weeks ago. I'm going to go see Dame. I get to see LeBron. I get to see Luka. I get to see Giannis. Oh, my gosh. Austin Reeves. And only Giannis plays. That's it. It's Alex Lynn and Giannis Antetokounmpo that are going at it. I don't got a solution for everybody. I'm just saying that. I actually was looking at it more from the perspective of just the standings perspective, but obviously people have their thoughts. Let's see what we got there. Good thing I didn't have tickets to this game. I would have. Oh, are you kidding me? I wouldn't have gone. I would have just took the L. All of the teams are resting people right now. Not all of them. I think right now there's a big push for the standings. I think people are putting this on. They think Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray are not are just resting games. They're not resting games. Those two guys are not going to miss key games like this, the Warrior game, the Laker game, if they're healthy. And Nikola Jokic has a track record of playing in games, not sitting in games. So I don't think that's the case. I really don't think that's the case. I think for the Lakers tonight, they 100% said, yeah, we're not playing our guys tonight. Not because of health. I think they just said they've played too many games in too short of a stretch. We're going to give them some extra time to rest. So I think that's the way they approached it. I want to get a couple more comments here, and then we'll talk a little bit about Bronny James. T-Ron, as soon as I found out no Luka, no AR, I immediately turned my attention to UC San Diego versus Michigan game. All right, I'm not telling you I'm watching every UCSD game because I'm not. But, of course, someone from San Diego, I was watching that game. I had 2 screens going watching the game. My God. They almost freaking beat Michigan. Jesus. They played so well. They were down 15, almost beat Michigan, and then just a couple balls don't go their way. Big man gets fouled at the end, hits 2 free throws for Michigan. They take a 3 at the end. They miss it. I was kind of actually, got to be honest with you, kind of heartbroken there. I felt really bad for UCSD. Love their fight. All right, let's get another one here. We got rocked. It happens. Go Lakers. No, B, I tell you this. They didn't get rocked. They just didn't have anybody playing. If there's one real positive to take away from a lot of these Laker losses over the course of the last, you could almost even call it 2 months, a lot of them are primarily because of injuries. There's some exceptions there. Charlotte, Brooklyn, obviously you can't lose to those teams. Boston was just better, but LeBron did get injured with 6:45 left to go in the fourth quarter. Milwaukee was really good last week, but Lakers didn't have LeBron. They were still missing Rui. They were still missing some other key players as well, so they didn't have 100% of their guys. But a lot of the storylines around the Lakers have less to do with bad basketball and have more to do with who's available and who's not available. So, yeah, you could say they got rocked tonight, but that was expected. Nobody really thought otherwise. All right, AR here. AR, thank you for the super, brother. I appreciate it. B, thank you for the super. John Wayne, appreciate you guys all on the supers. Mitch got his super in here, so thank you, brother. AR, Slee, I did not imagine Bronny James will be one of the scoring leaders for the Lakers tonight. Let's just say it was an elegant forfeit game from JJ. Thanks for the show, brother. All right, let's talk a little Bronny. If we're going to actually talk a little bit about the game, we'll probably get a chance to hear Bronny. I'm sure they'll put a mic in front of Bronny. Here were the Lakers players. Two dudes led the Lakers in scoring. Dalton Connect, 17 points, but it took him 14 shots. He was struggling from the field, hit a couple threes at the end to kind of get his point totals up when the game was well decided. Bronny, 17 points for him, 7 of 10 from the field. I don't want to give you his plus minus, but I'm going to give you his plus minus. But 17 and 5 for Bronny James, that's phenomenal. Now, we did have 4 turnovers. I don't really care, to be honest with you. As long as Bronny played 30 minutes tonight and in an NBA game, got opportunities, and dropped 17 points and had 5 assists, I'm impressed by that. I am. He was a minus 36 in the plus minus. Him and Shake Milton. That's kind of funny to look at. Shake Milton was a minus 37, and Bronny was a minus 36. Really, everyone on the bench was a minus. Everybody was in this game was a minus, except Markieff Morris for the Lakers. But I'm not too worried about that. It was impressive. I think impressive to see Bronny drop 17, and he didn't have to take 17 shots to get there. 7 of 10, very efficient, playing like his dad out there with that efficiency, and then the 5 assists. Do I think Bronny is going to go out there and all of a sudden become his dad, and the Lakers are going to be playing him 30 minutes a game? No, I don't think that's going to be happening. I definitely don't think that's going to be happening, but it doesn't need to happen. He got an opportunity tonight because of the predicament, because of the situation, and tried making the best of it. It's the best way that I can put it. It doesn't mean that he's going to be in the rotation, and all of a sudden when the playoffs come along that the Lakers are going to be looking to give Bronny James minutes. But it means in this game, he had some moments. So give him some credit there. All right, let's take a look at some of the comments here. 6 games in 8 days is wild. William Rodriguez, AR should have played. Well, if AR should have played, Luka should have played. I mean, if one of those guys are going to play, both of them should have played. They got something that's imbalanced in the NBA right now, and they got to figure it out. They want to do this NBA Cup, this in-season tournament, and it means a lot to them. If you go look at the schedule, look what happened to the schedule, and this has something to do with it as well. There was a period where the Lakers, because of the in-season tournament, because they didn't make that Final Four, Lakers had a lot of time off in December. You don't want time off in December. You want less on your back in March and April, as a lot of these teams are preparing for the playoffs. So I feel like it's clustering. It wasn't just the Fires, even though the Fires had something to do with it, but it also just added it adds so many games in that final month and a half of the season. I don't think that's a great idea, but the NBA is stuck of doing their way in the NBA Cup, and they're trying to create these tournaments and this and that. They're putting their focus probably in areas that don't need to be their focus. And I think that has something to do with the amount of games that they're playing as well right now. Let me see what else we got here. Shouldn't the system be set up in a way that makes it easy for everyone to play all 82? Got to be honest with you. I think first off, I don't think you need 82 games in the NBA. 70 is plenty. Take 12. Cut it down. Cut 12 games away from the schedule. Nobody's even going to notice it. Go from 82 to 70. But the problem is, I think even if you go down to 70, then I think organizations and franchises and players will probably still be strategic with how they're using players. And it doesn't guarantee that they're going to play all 70 or try to play all 70. So I don't know if that's the solution, but they're never going to cut games, because cutting games means cutting revenue. All right, let's see what else we got. Anything on Bronny here? Slee, if this was the playoffs, would they be playing? And not only speaking about Lakers nursing pain, but Nuggets and other teams' thoughts. Yes, they'd be playing. So I think to simplify, your question there, if this is the playoffs, yes, guys would be playing. But it's not the playoffs. And they understand it's not the playoffs, and they understand, one game on March 20th, if they got to take it off, then they're going to take advantage of it. But if this was April 20th and this was game 3 of the NBA playoffs and the Lakers had a road game against Denver because they had better seed, or let's just say it was a home game against Denver and the series is tied 1 apiece, Luka, LeBron, AR, Dorian Finney-Smith, Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic, everybody's going to be playing. But it's not April 20th. It's March 20th. So something to keep in mind there. All right, let's see if they're going to get I want to see if they got an interview coming and if it's they got Markieff going. We don't hear from Markieff very often. Let's take a quick listen to Markieff. I thought maybe it would be Bronny. Let's take a listen.
So, when these type of games, you just got to play as hard as you can. Win, lose, or draw, you just compete.
From a bigger kind of perspective, the 6 games in 8 days to now be on this side, what does it show about this group?
We just continue to fight, man. But that's rough for anybody. I mean, obviously we didn't have Brian for none of the games, so it's glad that he got the rest. That he got to get healthy. We had some guys sit out for the second game. Get those guys back in. I'm just glad we threw it.
Your first time with the Lakers, Bronny's in high school. Tonight he scores 17 points, tied for the team lead in scoring. What's it been like for you to see his development?
He's a hard worker, man. We play a lot, stay ready a lot, and he shows that he's working on his game. He's getting better day by day. I'm proud of him just to go out there and make a name for himself. I think he's a great player and he got a great future.
To use JJ's words, he said that Bronny has to deal with a bunch of just based on who his father is. How have you seen the way he's handled that behind the scenes?
He's a calm and cool kid, man. He doesn't say much. He just comes to work. Obviously, he knows there's a lot of pressure on him. But he doesn't let it faze him. He does a great job of just continue working and continue to come in. He always has a smile on his face. He always is ready to work, and I'm proud of him for how he played tonight, and he has a bright future.
You were +7 tonight in a game you guys got beat pretty badly. I know you want to be out there all the time. What do you think you were able to show tonight?
I'm just ready anytime. I think it's my 3rd game in I think 12 days or something like that. I didn't find out I was starting till later tonight. A lot of times people just automatically think you just can't play because you're not playing. But for me, the game is a lot easier because it's a lot younger. A lot of the younger guys don't know how to play, so it's easier to plug an older guy in to be able to just find the spots and talk my way through the game. I really can walk for real. If I was with better, the older players, it's just not as hard as it used to be.
Thanks, Keith.
All right, that is Markieff Morris right there. By the way, if you go look at the stats of everyone, oh my God, nobody could hit a bucket. Look at the stats here, okay? Markieff, 3 of 11 from the field, 1 of 7 from the 3-point line. Gabe Vincent, 3 of 12 from the field, 2 of 7 from the 3-point line. Goodwin, 3 of 8 from the field. Connect, 5 of 14 from the field. Cam Reddish got some playing time, 1 of 6 from the field. Alex Lynn went 4 of 7. Jackson Hayes went 4 of 5. Bronny James went 7 of 10. Other than that, I mean, really everybody. Shake Milton went 2 of 6. And guys, this is kind of what happens when, we like watching Jordan Goodwin. You love his effort, this, that, all that stuff. Dalton Connect, man, this guy, if he gets hot, he gets it going. Gabe Vincent, starting to hit some jumpers. When you don't have Luka, Austin Reeves, guys setting you up, other players getting attention, now these guys can focus on players that are just role players, not stars. That's kind of the result that you get. So it shouldn't be a surprise to anybody that was the case. All right, let's keep going here. I want to read some more of these. John Wayne, 80s, no stars in exhibition. 90s, NBA starts Christmas Day. 2000, season starts after All-Star break. Now regular season doesn't matter. Health number one. I'm not going to sit here and argue with everybody. I'm not. But I think it's important that the NBA, you guys are fans of the NBA, and this is how you guys feel. John, I'll come back to yours in just a second. I saw this comment here. Rushed home from work, expected a good game, and we rest everyone. I shouldn't have been watching the game. I shouldn't have even watched the game. I'm just pointing this out because if I give my opinion here and say, oh, well, you know what? The game is tough and it's this and it's that. It doesn't matter what I say. You guys are consuming the product. And if you don't like the product because the stars aren't playing, Magic was on Byron Scott's podcast. I was going to play it this morning. I didn't end up playing. I'll play it tomorrow. He said his biggest concern with the NBA and what he hates the most about the NBA, load management. That's Magic saying that. I think there are a lot of old heads that have been watching basketball for a long time or played in the NBA that say, what? Are you kidding me? You're not doing anything. You're not going to be here. You're not going to play in this game. I'm going to share you guys. I won't play the audio of it, but just take a look here. Look at Bron. And then we'll talk about this. This is Bron before the game. He's going, and it looks like he's going full speed. And we're going to talk about that in just a second, but I saw the video here, so I just wanted to grab that Spectrum Sportsnet that was doing that was throwing that up there. Actually, I don't even know if you guys can see it. I don't think I had the right screen up. With that in mind, I'll talk about LeBron in a second. With all that in mind, these comments are important. They're very, very important because these are the opinions of the fans. Doesn't matter what I think. I could give my opinion out there, but you guys are consuming the product every day. And, it's funny. When I was talking to Amin this morning, he said the biggest problem for the NBA is public relations, PR. The PR is not good for them. Okay, maybe he's right. Maybe it's right that, everybody just kind of runs with the wind and they take some of these comments and they start saying, yeah, you know what? Yeah, Charles Barkley is right or Shaq is right or whatever the case is, whoever they're talking about. But I don't think you can ignore it because these last two nights, we didn't see, and listen, injuries are injuries. So if somebody is out because they're injured, I'm not going to sit here and tell you anything. But these last couple of nights, think about the amount of stars that didn't play in the games and look at the comments of what people are saying, no, I'm not okay with this. I'm not all right. Why did I even rush home? Oh my God, I had tickets to this game that I bought and all these guys aren't playing. What the hell am I going for? I'm not going to an NFL game if I know Patrick Mahomes isn't playing or something like that. So it is something to kind of keep in mind here. And it's something for the NBA to understand. This is a topic, whether you like it or you don't. It's a topic. All right, let's keep going here. You just spent 20 minutes on a hater's comment. No, I don't think it's that. I think it's more that's the conversation you're walking away with from tonight. I pay the parking, tickets, $30 beers. I have a right to say what the F I want. You do. You definitely do. Okay, let's keep going here. Bron. Let me just address this real quick. So how does the league prove that it's an injury, why the Stars decided not to play? I don't think there's a way to I don't think there's a way to if somebody wants to say they have a sore knee, there's nothing you can do about it. Now, I do think, look, LeBron is clearly injured. I do think Jokic and Jamal Murray were injured. I think Steph Curry missed a game or a couple games, whatever he did. Maybe you want to call that rest, whatever the case is. I don't think there's a way. I really don't think there's a way for anyone to kind of check to see whether somebody. How are you going to check to see what my pain tolerance is? You know what I mean? So I don't think there's a way to do that. All right, let's take a look here. I want to talk Bron here real quick. So we saw some of the highlights there. If it showed, I don't know if it actually showed, but let me just kind of address that here real quick. John, by the way, thank you for the super brother. I appreciate it. You had a couple in there. Mitch Potter, nice enough to gift out 5 memberships. We got a lot of generous people on this chat, generous people that are a part of this channel. If you want to be a member, take advantage of what Mitch is doing here. It gives you 30 days for free. If you just want to be a member and you want to support the channel, it's $3 a month. I'm going to give you a good example. Tomorrow, right after I'm done with my morning show, I'm going to do I'm going to try this kind of weekly members video on Fridays, where when I'm done, we're going to talk just with members about the week. What did they like about the week? What did they think about the topics, the guests? What are we planning for the following week? I want them to be a part of kind of the planning of the show. I'm not going to take every idea, but I'm open to all ideas. So I'm going to start that tomorrow. So if you want to be a member, you'll get some one-on-one kind of personal time with me and talking about the channel and help kind of mold what we're doing here. And at the same time, it's a great way to support the channel. I put the link there. Mitch, thank you for supporting. I appreciate you, brother. Okay, so let's get back to what I was referring to with LeBron. So before the game, there was some really, really positive news that was coming out. JJ Redick said that he is hopeful LeBron and Rui are potentially back on Saturday. Hopeful. All right. Well, let me kind of, lay this out for everybody here. And I think this is important to point out. Lakers right now, 43-26. They're in the number 4 spot of the Western Conference, and they're a game and a half behind the number 2 spot. And they're half a game in front of the Memphis Grizzlies. The point that I'm trying to make is this is all open. 2 through 5 is still open. And when LeBron went out and had his injury, that was back in the Celtics game. He missed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He missed 7 games. Lakers kept their head above water, and that's all you could have asked for. So potentially getting LeBron back coming up on Saturday would be huge. Plenty of time for the Lakers to obviously continue to grow from there. Let's take a listen to Bronny.
So yeah, it's been good for me so far.
JJ was talking to us about kind of seeing your growth, from the moment that actually going back before he was the coach of the combine, he watched some video of you doing the interviews and he texted your dad about it. How would you kind of trace the evolution of you with JJ, kind of what he's told you from the first time he met you up to the point of like today and even kind of getting prepped for the game?
I'd say just all the coaches believing in me, and continuing to, put that in my head that they believe in me and what I can do as a player. And, I was given an opportunity tonight to go, show them what I've been working on while I've been, sitting the bench in the G League, getting the reps and stuff like that. So, just constantly putting that in my head that, they believe in me and that I can contribute.
Bronny, what expectations did you put on yourself in, say, training camp and preseason, and how does that square up with where you are at now, 5 months into your rookie season?
I just say just going in and working as hard as I can. That's all I can do, just learn and, be open-minded every day, every time I, come into work in the morning and, being that same, level-headed kid, just trying to get his work done. But also just, like I said, taking advantage of those reps so that I, can get and, just staying level-headed.
When we spoke with JJ just a few minutes ago, he acknowledged that there's a lot of stuff you've had to deal with just because of who your dad is, and I'm sure things you can understand more than I can speak on. Just how has it been balancing that, trying to deal with that noise, deal with what's said, deal with what's written, also just trying to focus on your game, on your development, like the things that you can control, I guess?
And just putting my head down and working. I feel like that's the only thing that I can control right now is going in every day and, staying ready to play, staying ready to learn, getting the work in after hours, early mornings, stuff like that. Just all the controllables that I can, do myself. There's not really much I can do of random people talking about me, every day. So can't really do much about that. So I just, go in the gym and work, put my head down and try to get better every day.
Dan.
Bronny, a lot of times you mentioned that level-headedness. I'm sure that's handy when there's like negativity floating. Like there's going to be a lot of positivity, I would imagine, after today. Does that level-headedness have to show up in the same way when you get back to work tomorrow?
Yeah, for sure. Going in the gym tomorrow, we're ready to, work as hard as I did yesterday. So same approach for every day that I, go into my job.
Brian,
Final
what
one.
was this stretch like for you joining the team on the road and in the Milwaukee Denver back-to-back as part of this 6 games in 8-day stretch? JJ said doesn't feel like modern players should be playing this many 3 consecutive back-to-backs, but just what are the last 8 days been like with for I guess for you personally, but also for the team?
Again, just I think just taking advantages of my opportunity, whether that's given to me today or the game against Denver, just being ready. Again, the stay ready games at the gym, they prepare me to be confident in my play and what I do. So just keeping that same mindset of being ready and being confident in myself.
All right, stop it right there. That's Bronny James. Let me just finish off what I was saying real quick about LeBron, and then we'll cut in. We'll read a few of these comments, and then we'll get the hell out of here. Okay? All right? It is the worst game I've ever watched in my life. Kidding me? Hell was going on tonight? So what I was basically saying is that by the time Bron comes back, if it is on Saturday, you're still right in the thick of the Western Conference. I know some people thought when Bron went down, hey, you know what? How long is this guy going to be out for? Is he going to be out for a month? How many games is he going to get before the season comes back? Or the Lakers going to drop so far in the standings that maybe they're back in the play-in tournament, something along those lines? I think we could comfortably say they're not going to be in the play-in tournament. We know that. We know that they're a good team. They're very talented, and they got some great pieces, and I think can make a little bit of a run here in the Western Conference, a real run. I mean, I've said this before, and I don't have any problem telling you guys how I felt before when the trade happened and how I feel now. I hope when I do admit, if I'm wrong on something, I hope that also adds some credibility of hey, I'm not trying to be right every time because that ain't going to happen. I didn't think they were going to be this good. I didn't. And now that I sit here and I watch this team, my expectations for this team is hey, I think they can beat anybody in the Western Conference. And I'm talking about Denver. I'm talking about Golden State. I'm talking about Houston, Memphis. I know there's some teams we haven't even seen the Lakers play against, so maybe it's a little wild to say some of those things, but I'll take my chances. I kind of know what this team is. And then, the question is also going to be Oklahoma City Thunder. OKC has half the amount of losses everybody else in the Western Conference. Maybe they're just the best team, and that's it. We'll wait to see what happens come playoff time. But he's been out. You've had a lot of players that have been out. You had Rui that was out as well. You had all these games that were clumped together. As we sit here and the dust settles, you got about 3 weeks left in the season, and the Lakers still got a shot at that number 2 spot. They really do. And they still have, I think, part of the beauty with the schedule as well. This will help them or hurt them, but it's okay either way. They still got 2 games against the Houston Rockets, a game against the Golden State Warriors. They still got a game against the Memphis Grizzlies. We'll get to see them against two games against the Oklahoma City Thunder. We'll see if, OKC is playing for anything or not, but they're right there. And even with all the up and down, the trades, the injuries, guys in and out of the lineup, you kind of got to like their position. And hopefully they can just go get a win on Saturday and then move on after that game and then get ready for this final stretch, these final couple of weeks, the road games and all that other stuff that's coming. All right, let's take a look at a couple more of these comments, and then we're going to get the hell out of here. Ali, Slee, you're a good guy. I became a huge fan, bro. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you very much. Appreciate the super. Anybody that threw a super today, thank you very much. Mitch came in with the 5 memberships. Thank you very much for doing that. So shout out to everybody here. Whether you're on the chat, you threw a super or you didn't, I appreciate you guys hanging out tonight. All right, let's get 1 or 2 more, and then that's it. Then we're calling it a night. Back on tomorrow morning at 8 a.m., by the way. Join me tomorrow morning. Alex Lynn getting a little bit of love tonight. I like that. Bronny is a good kid. This part, I will be honest with you on this. Yeah, that part's not talked about enough. Bronny seems like he comes off as a humble dude. He's going to work. He's not running his mouth. He's not, walking around like, yeah, that's my dad. I don't get those vibes from him at all. there's going to be criticism that comes towards Bronny James, but I don't think it has anything to do with Bronny. And I don't think Bronny did anything wrong. It's the circumstance. It's LeBron. There's a lot of people that don't like LeBron, period. It's the fact that he was drafted by the Lakers, second pick. There's stuff that are just out of his control. And honestly, it almost just feels like he's along for the ride and really doesn't have much of a say in it. But for him, anytime I hear him talk, anytime he's in an interview, anytime, even when he's on the court, he just kind of calm, cool, and collected and doesn't really make too big of a deal about anything. He is humble for a billionaire's son. That part is true. They better get that win on Friday or on Saturday. They will. They'll be good. They'll be good to go. I'm not too worried about that. I mean, they got to go make it happen. So that's the best way to put it. CS, Bronny plays hard. It's hard to hate on that. I'm with you on that. I don't got any issue. I think, he doesn't have control of the situation. Anytime I've talked about him, I've said that I feel bad that he's in the predicament. But what I mean by that is just there's so much attention towards a second-round pick, but we know why. All right, my people, that's all I got tonight. Bucks over the Lakers, 118-89. I did not think I was going 45, 46 minutes tonight. I did not. I thought I'd be on here for 8 minutes. I was going to give you guys the score, and then I was going to get the hell out of here. Back on tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Thank you for being a part of the show. Hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not.